Hello, welcome to Back of the Net, a happy international break. My name's Sam.
My name's Tom.
Earlier this season, you may recall, we did a very early league table prediction. That was before a ball had even been kicked. However, the transfer window has slammed shut. It's closed, it's done. And we did promise you that we would recalibrate our tables based on the players that each club have got in through the door, but also maybe looking at how each team has started. That's the league table at the moment. There you can see some teams at the top and at the bottom you might have expected, but in the middle, is it shaping up like we thought? Well, we're going to go through each and every team. We're going to be doing it in alphabetical order, and we're going to be talking about the first 4 games, or 3 in some cases. We'll also look at the transfer activity and also our revised league table. Now, we're not going to do this every month because otherwise we basically might as well do it in May and get it bang on.
It's the only time we're doing it, I think.
Yeah, it's the only time we're going to do it. But we're going to see how our 2 league tables, because we did it separately, how they compare. Firstly then, AFC Bournemouth. It's been an alright start for us, I would say. I'm trying to take my Bournemouth hat off.
Yeah, of course.
And I suppose you look at it and you think of the new manager that we've got and the signings we've got through the door, and you could say it's been a failure, but really we've not actually managed to utilise many of the players that we've got through the door. And look, losing to Spurs and Liverpool wasn't exactly unexpected, and getting a point at Brentford and against West Ham, in hindsight now looking at the table, is actually all right.
I think that's what you do, mate. I think if you look at each individual game, none of them teams that we've played have lost a football match. So to have a couple of points is decent. I think if you take it all individually, I think you could maybe argue on the opening day before they got a few signings in that West Ham, you could see maybe Bournemouth sneaking a point. In the other 3, 90% of pundits and people are predicting us to lose. And then if you want to look at the reverse fixtures, that when we played them last season, we got absolutely spanked in all of them. So if you put it into context, I think it's decent to have a couple of points. Equally, you can go 2 points out of 12, doesn't look good.
Yeah.
So it depends how you look at it, but I think from a ball perspective, which obviously we can talk about more inside it, from going to all the games, we can see a progression. The points ain't there yet, but I don't think anyone's panicking just yet. I think we knew this start could happen, but there's been signs that I've quite liked.
However, revised league table prediction, Tom, where have you put us?
So originally...
Well, start off with the new prediction.
Oh, the new prediction, but there isn't a new prediction. I'm sticking with what I said originally, mate.
Which was?
12th.
I've gone 13th. So, there you can see.
Was that the same?
Exactly the
So
same.
we haven't changed.
Exactly the same. Unchanged.
I think
for
that's,
me.
like we said there, I think we may have even got an extra point than I thought we might. But then again, I thought we could nick a win against West Ham. But I think there's not really loads of change because we knew these fixtures were hard. So I think that makes sense, mate, to just stick where we are. It'd be weird for us to go mad higher or mad lower with Bournemouth. So yeah, I'm happy to stick. So
Arsenal then, they had a good solid start to the season with a 2-1 win against Forest, and look, they are unbeaten. I suppose the surprise result is that home match against Fulham, really. But other than that, last game, some solid signs. They've obviously got Declan Rice, who was pivotal really in that match against the Red Devils, scoring the second goal. And it's been, I think they'll be relatively happy with their start, you'd think?
Yeah, I would have thought so. I think maybe if you had said they'd get them number of points in them 4 games, you'd think maybe the draw would be against Man U and not Fulham, especially with them being at home. Fulham did go down 10 in that game as well. But Fulham are no mugs. They're not easy fixtures. Going to Selhurst is not easy. Forest, as we'll talk about later, have started pretty well. And obviously Man U are Man U. So they're not the easiest fixture in the world. So I think Arsenal have done well to come out of that with 3 wins and a draw. But that's probably kind of what I would have predicted. I think Arsenal are still trying to change a few little bits, with Havertz in particular coming in. They brought in Timber and then he got injured. But I think really they are where I expect them to be.
They did a lot of their activity early, didn't they?
They did. They seem to, They seem to want to get them in early and get them adapted to the way they want to play. But I think their main focus was making sure Declan Rice through the door, wasn't it? And he's already shown, like you said, the goal against United, but in all the games really, he stood up as you'd expect. And I think Arsenal are in for another good season. Will it be good enough to achieve what they want to and trophies? Not so sure, but they've started well and kind of as I anticipated.
Where have you got them finishing then, Tom?
I've got them in second, which is unchanged.
For me, second. unchanged.
Oh, it's going to not change
as
anything,
well.
the whole video.
Yeah,
Just watch the last one.
It could
There
well
are
be like
changes.
that. There definitely are changes. Right, in terms of Aston Villa then, I mean, they got absolutely humbled at the start of the season at St James's Park. But it's fair to say they turned it around with 2 solid results. But they're good results, but the teams that they played are pretty poor as of yet. That 4-0 against Everton, who are atrocious at the moment, and also Burnley as well, still finding their feet. And then they got pumped against Liverpool as well.
Yeah.
So I don't know, how do you rate the start of their season?
It's weird because it's really one end of the spectrum to the other, isn't it? 2 really good wins and 2 really bad losses, and I think that kind of plays into how an Emery team has been playing with Villa, in terms of they play that really high line and then get caught, especially like they did against Newcastle on Opening Day, but they can hurt teams as well, like they did against Everton. So it hasn't shocked me, because if you look at the 2 games they've lost in isolation, Anfield and St James's, they're not games that you would think that's a bad loss.
No.
And I'd expect them to win the 2 games. So I'd probably expect them to get 6 out of them 4. That's not changed too much. I think the issue they've had is ex-Bournemouth player Tyrone Mings getting an injury. I hope he recovers well, because he's had that before. He had it with us, and that's a real blow for him. But I think he just brings them a bit of leadership at the back. They've got a few new signings at the back, and to have to rush a few of the new signings in because they didn't anticipate the Mings situation happening hasn't helped. They had a comfortable 2 legs in Europe against Hibernian, but they're still 2 more games than a lot of teams, so that may not have helped them. They're still trying to get people like Diaby into the team. So I think they'll be absolutely fine. I think Europe will play a little bit of a part, even though they should be able to rotate a bit. They'll have a good season. I'm not sure if I think they'll have as strong a season as maybe I anticipated at the start. I'm not sure. But they'll be there or thereabouts.
So Tom, where have you got them finishing now then?
So I have got Aston Villa finishing in 9th, and I originally had them 8th.
Wow. So you've gone down a position. And you know what? So have I.
Okay.
I've got them finishing in 7th position. I did have them in 6th. So there we go. That's Aston Villa done and dusted. Right then, Brentford. We know Brentford all too well because that was last Bournemouth's match in the Premier League when we drew 2-2 at the G-Tech, and I thought they'd be suffering without Tony, but it's clear that they're not. Thomas Frank, for as much as he is a total manager that just annoys Bournemouth fans. Yeah. I do feel as that he's got this kind of. He instills this team spirit with him, and he gets the best out of every player. He really does. And some good performances from them so far this season. You know, Spurs. I mean, that win at Fulham was good. I mean, they're unbeaten. So they're doing well. Plus, they managed to get a draw against the mighty Bournemouth. They're all right. Massive. But transfer activity wise, they're doing all right.
Yeah, they've done bits.
They've got a player back, haven't they, in Morpay?
Yeah, that's true. He hasn't played yet, but that's probably someone they've got in at the end because it made sense. He was liked there, and just because of that Tony void, they'll be thinking they might need to use him. But at the moment, as you kind of mentioned, mate, they're not really missing him because of the way they function as a team. And I've always said about Thomas Frank, I think he talks a lot of nonsense, but he is a bloody good coach, and I've never doubted that. He's a very, very good coach. And this is probably the first team that we've come to that I thought this was one that I really wanted to look at after 4 games after the window because of the Tony factor. I think everyone was the same. They thought, how will they look? And apart from the Palace at home game, where I think they should have got the win, I think they've done very, very well. They let's be real, they should have beaten us. They had some chances. We've seen with Tottenham, that's a hell of a good draw. And winning 3-0 at Fulham is impressive.
Sometimes I think you talk like complete nonsensical stuff, but you are bang on the money, I think.
I agree, mate. I do agree with that. I think I am bang on because it was always about the Tony thing. And I think they've already proved in a short space of time that they can function very well without him. Very well without him. They play a really unique style, and it's hard to combat, as every team's seen so far, because like you say, they haven't lost a game. So one in the cup as well. So this is quite a big change for me. Because of the Tony factor. So I have put Brentford now to finish 10th.
You had them in 14th. Tom has gone up. I have got them to finish in 11th. No change for Brentford. I've got them finishing exactly the same.
Fair play though. You had a bit more kind of faith in them about Tony than I did. I thought they might really struggle with it.
Gotta have faith.
I knew they'd have a good they play well because they got a good coach. But I just thought, yeah, but surely taking that many goals out of the team. But I think Mbeumo, one in particular, has really stepped up to that and gone, right, I need to deliver some more goals now, and he's shown that already. So yeah, fair play.
Although he does miss sitters as well.
Against us, fortunately.
Less said about that, the better. Right, Brighton and Hove Albion. I mean, wow, what a start to the season that they've had. Look, they did get humbled by West Ham, who are doing very well.
They beat everyone, don't they?
Yeah.
Oh no, they didn't win one game.
No.
Up the cherries.
Up the cherries. Newcastle, I mean, they ripped them apart. Evan Ferguson, man, what a player. Rinsing Gary O'Neill's Wolves, and then Luton. I mean, when you look at that start to the season for them, you would probably think, okay, apart from Newcastle, we should be maybe gaining a few points here, but weirdly, you'd expect the West Ham and Newcastle results to be the other way round. Didn't transpire like that, and they're doing all right, aren't they? And they're always unearthing gems. I mean, Ferguson's not a new gem by any stretch of the imagination, but what a hat trick he's got. And I suppose Europe's going to be the thing. Once they start Europe, how's it going to go for them? But De Zerbi seems to be, again, a manager that gets the best out of them at all times. Yeah,
that's the only thing I've kind of altered in my mind for Brighton this season is I thought about the Europe thing and that affected my judgment. I fancied them to get 9 points out of them 4, but as you kind of alluded to, Matt, I thought the Newcastle and West Ham might switch. So they haven't done anything less than I expected in terms of results. I think performance-wise they've been just as impressive, if not more so than I thought. The thing I'm looking at now is I saw them the other day and I thought, actually, the squad's probably better than I thought. They've got all these young players, exciting players, and they're bringing on Milner, Lallana, Welbeck, and I think, you think of Evan Ferguson, he's got Welbeck in the dressing room. That's priceless, and I think they've got a really good blend there. They've still got some experience. I thought, shout to Pascal Gross, by the way, who kind of never gets mentioned. He's suddenly got a call up the German squad at 30 years old or whatever. Fair play to him. But yeah, I think Brighton will be very good.
What do you make of their transfer activity?
Yeah, they've done most of the time. It's just how they sell players for so much money, and get over 100 million for Saicedo. They've brought in another young lad, and you just know who's going to end up being that. Ferguson's probably worth 200 already. It's crazy.
It's Brighton tax.
But I think with Europe, one that's gone under the radar is how vital during that European run people like Milner would be. Yeah. They'll be so crucial for them. I've been impressed with Brighton, but I did expect to be impressed by Brighton to some degree anyway.
And you've got them finishing now, then, Tom, in
8th. So I have literally swapped them and Villa.
Okay,
that's what I've done. So I didn't want to allude to it when I'd done Villa because I knew we were coming on to Brighton. But it's not so much that I think Villa have got worse. It's that I think Brighton are a little bit stronger than Villa. So I've just switched them two around.
Interesting. Okay, I have put Brighton in 9th, unchanged, and that's all because of Europe. I put this on odds checker actually, hoping it comes through because I'll be a millionaire.
Exactly,
if that happens, mate. So
I really want you to be one off, like Bournemouth 12th. Oh, imagine if you were one off on Bournemouth.
But I tell you what, Burnley have only played 3, so maybe this is a bit unfair. But when you take a look at the start to their season, they've been undone. But they have played some teams with, that calibre of team. I wouldn't have wanted their start.
No, it's
Man City at home. All their matches have been at home. In fact, Villa and also Spurs as well. They were due to play Luton away, but because their stadium's not quite ready, well, it is now, but it wasn't at the time. But 5-2 against Spurs. Reeks of naivety at times with the kind of style of football, which is admirable. We did it when we got to the Premier League the first time. We played the way that we knew how to play, and we knew that it would undo certain teams, but not those 3.
No, I remember when watching them that I thought, God, this looks like when we first come up, which, as you say, is a really difficult balance because I think Vincent Kompany's, and you've got to remember, their championship season was very similar to ours. We went up, won the league and played some amazing football. And they've proven, City, but they've proven against Villa and Spurs they can score goals playing that way. And I've actually kind of thought, they play good football. It never used to be the case, no disrespect, but now when Burnley are on the telly, I think, that'll be a good game because they're open. And I kind of admire Kompany to go, we'll probably lose these games anyway, so let's keep instilling what I want our team to play like. And it would have been really interesting if they had played that Luton game, completely different style of team. I do wonder if in certain games they might need to be a little bit more cagey, at least the opening 20 minutes and see the game out, because to go ahead against Spurs, they went ahead in that Tottenham game. You shouldn't be losing 5-2 if you've gone ahead. But they went ahead and just kept going for the second. And you know how Tottenham have started. But equally, I think that style of football will be enough. I think they'll score too many goals to go down. but it's really hard to judge them because of them fixtures. They're a game behind everyone as well. I do think they'll be all right. I do think they'll give Company the time because I think he's got that kind of stature in the game, and I think people know he's going to be a good coach.
They've made some good signings that he needs to integrate as well.
Exactly, so he's going to have to take some time. I saw that Foster who scored against Spurs, I think he looks lively, and Sander Berg's come in and he's been chucked straight in, so it'll take him a bit of time, Trafford and goal. So yeah, I think Burnley will be absolutely fine. I probably thought they'd be better than I expected though. I do think, will they get opened up a little bit too much? So I've changed it quite a lot, but I actually went for them to kind of be a surprise package.
Yep.
So I put Burnley in 16th when I initially
said 11th.
Went 11th. So that's quite drastic change, but I thought they'd really surprise teams.
Wow.
And now I'm going, they'll have enough, but I don't think they'll be as surprise package as I thought.
I have got Burnley in 16th,
Okay.
one up from where I said.
That's interesting though, isn't it? That they've lost every game and you've actually put them higher. So it shows that style, you do see something in it against other teams.
But also it's mainly because I see how poor some other teams have done.
That's
as well.
kind of what I did there. Is so one that we mentioned earlier, I put Brentford a lot higher.
Yeah.
So at the start of the season, I thought I think Burnley will be stronger than Brentford. Now I think there's no way Burnley finish above Brentford. So that's kind of why I don't think Burnley will be really poor, but maybe not as high as I initially thought.
Chelsea. I tell you what, this like as a neutral observer that has got no real emotion towards Chelsea whatsoever, I'm just so apathetic when it comes to even their name being mentioned.
Yeah.
I'm just kind of quietly interested to see what on earth is going to go, because Pochettino's got his work cut out. You said on a recent show, on the Premier League show that we had the other day, that despite all the signings that they've got, the sort of players that you're relying on are your legacy names that were there already.
Yeah.
And it's, I mean, look, 1-1 against Liverpool, no great shakes there. Beating Luton, of course, you probably expect that. 3-1 at West Ham. 1-0 at home to Forest.
That was the worst one.
Yes, they did. They did, like, check out the stats. They dominate.
Of course,
but
yeah.
You've got to be clinical, and they were not that.
But you know what Forest and West Ham are going to do.
Exactly,
against the billions of pounds your squad's got. They're going to sit back and look for counter attack, and they played right into their hands in both them games. Remember the West Ham game? Chelsea were dominant. I think they missed a penalty, but you knew what West Ham were waiting for, and Chelsea couldn't cope with it. And the weird thing, I was looking at their kind of starting 11 in the last game, and I looked at it and went, you can't yet call Nicholas Jackson a goal scorer because he's got one in the Premier League. He's done it elsewhere, but we don't know. And I was going, well, Sterling's proven that he scores goals in the Premier League, right? They had Chilwell left wing, who's obviously played predominantly as a fullback, Enzo Fernandez, Conor Gallagher, Caicedo, then obviously the defence. You're going, so out of all that money, Sterling's the only one you can nail on getting a goal. I mean, that is, it's odd, and I feel for Poch actually, because I think that's, I mean, he would have known it when he got the job, but I mean, how is he supposed to get them all playing, keep them all happy, find out his best 11? I know they've got a few players to come back, and Kunku will help them, I'm sure, but that is. Liverpool was an admirable draw, and I actually thought they played quite well in that game. They probably will look at that and go, we could have won that. But West Ham, Luton and Forest, 3 points is not good enough. And that's no disrespect to them teams.
Yeah, it's that dichotomy of having so much money being spent on players through the door, so fans' expectations are raised even more. But you need to integrate them, and you need to. So it's almost because of the amount they've spent, you sort of wonder how much time he actually has got.
Yeah.
He can't work magic tricks, but I'll tell you what. So this is where my interest.
Do you remember? I was just going to say. Do you remember we went to the overlap at the start of last season? And I remember that was when Bowley had just come in, and I remember Gary Neville saying it looks like he's playing Football Manager.
Yeah. Okay.
And he was bang on the money, because that's how I describe him. He's not really thinking about it, he's just going,
100%.
He looks like a brand new shiny toy that looks quite good, I'll get him in. But yeah, this is, so...
Where have you got them now then, mate? Where have you got them to finish?
I've got them in 7th.
You've got them in 7th. Right, compare that with where you originally said. You said 4th.
Yeah.
I've got them in 6th. I originally had them in 5th.
Yeah.
So 5th I thought was maybe a bit optimistic. Well, I didn't really know. I didn't really know where it was, but I've even got them lower than that now.
I think, I can't remember exactly what I said on the last show, but as much as I still, obviously even back then we saw the mess that was going on, for some reason I just thought, but I think Poch will, and I do still think Poch will come all right for them, and if they stick with him, but I think I probably thought too much of Poch, and now I'm thinking actually there's only so much he can do.
I will tell you something now.
Go on, mate.
They'll get silverware this season.
You still think they'll, okay.
I think they'll get silverware. They'll get silverware.
Okay,
I
good
don't
little
know
shout
which
from me
trophy,
there.
but there you go. That's what I'm saying.
Good shout
Right, next then, Crystal Palace
Hmm.
under Roy Hodgson. When you look at their results, not bad, not
Pretty
bad.
solid.
Although the colour of teams, yes, they played Arsenal, they lost to them. Brentford a draw.
That's a good point though, away.
It is.
Anyone who gets a point at Brentford's a good side.
Beating Wolves 3-2, probably made hard work of that. Had less of the ball, let Wolves in stupidly, really. That probably flatters Wolves, that result, a little bit, though, I think, because Palace, I think, deserved the points majorly. And then it wasn't skanky by any means, but they got what they needed to do at Bramwell Lane against Sheffield United. So, solid set of results, but they've not really been tested yet.
No, I know what you mean. And when they were against Arsenal, remember, went down to 10 men. So that's probably, Arsenal were comfortable until it went to 10 men. But I think the Sheffield United away win's underrated. I think you never want to play a newly promoted team at their ground on the opening day. They're in party mode. I thought that was a good win to get a clean sheet there, and just kind of that could be one that could be nasty. So I think Palace have been better than I thought, in the sense that I thought the Zaha injury, which I still think will affect them. Sorry, Zaha Sell and the Elise injury.
Yes.
That's two key players they haven't had. Eze's it was always about how good will Eze be, and he looks good. I actually think some of their strikers are starting, because I thought they're going to lack goals. I think Edouard's been better than I thought, and Mateta in the cup done well, and then come on against Wolves and had an impact. We know firsthand how good Lerma is, and they're seeing that straight away. And I miss him. And I think defensively they're pretty strong. I thought, Palace, I always felt they'd be fine, but I thought they could get dragged into it. Now I'm thinking I'm not even sure they will.
No.
I think they'll just be, I don't think they'll put up any trees.
No.
I think what will be interesting if someone comes in with a big bid for Eze in January. Watch out for that, because I think Chelsea probably. Someone will go big for him, because he is a player. He is a player, Eze, and they'll struggle to keep hold of him, I think. But at the moment, I think Palace will be absolutely fine. Absolutely fine.
So where have you got them?
So I've got them in 15th, I believe.
Yeah.
Now, I think I've put them in 15th. Yeah, 15th, and I initially had them
in 17th.
So I thought they'd just stay up, whereas now I think they'll be a little bit more comfortable.
I've got them finishing in 14th. I had them in 16th, so they've gone up a couple of positions there. That's
just put them
Crystal Palace. Right. Everton.
Cool.
Now, this is interesting.
Yeah.
This is interesting.
God, they're bad.
They are real bad.
They are really bad.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I can't sugarcoat it anymore. I mean, they've got a point, and that was at Sheffield United.
We like Everton. We like Everton fans. We had some really great relationships with them when we went up there and stuff. They were so friendly with us. And
I feel for them.
They were brilliant. I do. I feel for them as well.
They must be, the way I almost feel for Deutsch a little bit, because the way the club's being ran is ridiculous, and the money they've spent, and none of them have been any good. Like, none of the signings have been any good.
I mean, Danjuma's popped up.
He's to be fair, which I always thought, he will, as he always did with us, won't be in the game, and you'll be a bit frustrated, and then he'll put up a bit of magic. He done it in the cup when, I'm not being funny, they could have lost that cup game against Doncaster. Doncaster are bottom of the Football League.
It's like late on, wasn't it?
Bottom of League 2, and they were the better team for a while. But he done it against Sheffield United as well, Danjuma. But I think Beto's going to be a good signing, early signs of him. Just because he's got a bit of stature about him up top, and you can't rely on Calvert-Lewin. He's certainly better than Morpay, who they've let go. But the Sheffield United draw is conceding 2 at Sheffield United. They haven't been over to scoring goals. I think the Wolves game, they actually didn't play that badly, but they just didn't have no one to stick the ball in the net. Villa, they were atrocious. And Fulham, again, they just couldn't stick the ball in the net. I think it's the usual with Everton. I think everyone will go, they're going down, and they'll pull something out of the bag right at the end of this. I had a look. They go to Arsenal away on the last day.
Oh my God!
They'll win.
Wow.
They'll win. That's Everton. They'll win. I think they'll do it. So I've put Everton 17th and staying up on the last day. I think I had them 15th.
Yeah, you did. You had them in 15th. I had them in 14th, but now I've got them in 18th.
You got them going down.
Going down.
Well, that's interesting. I'm not going to look, because I want to know you've got staying up now.
Going down. That's what I'm saying.
I
Right.
mean, you look at it now. If you watched every game, you go, well, they're definitely going down.
Yeah, you think so.
I'm thinking off previous. That's what I'm doing. I'm going, it's typical Everton. It's typical,
They probably will have a bit.
And we saw it, because we were actually the team that went down the last day.
Yeah.
Going to Goodison when they've got to get a result on the last day, that crowd, they'll get them going. And I think they'll just have enough. But it wouldn't shock me if they went down.
Right, and finally, Fulham. I don't know what to make of their. I don't know really what to make of their season. We saw the league table earlier. They're holding their own. I mean, good. They beat Everton, which. We've talked about them. Losing at home against Brentford, not particularly great. Tool at Arsenal, though, was good. Arsenal sort of felt sort of misfiring at the time a little bit, but then being humbled at Man City, there was one goal of conjecture in that which should not have stood. They've had a lot of change to deal with.
They have, and there's been a lot of different bits and bobs. Obviously, they thought they would lose Paulinho, and then they managed to keep him at the end, which they were delighted with. I think the City one, listen, anyone could be in a game with City with 10 minutes to go and they score a few goals. Well, that can happen. You don't need to take too much from the 5-1. I thought they competed okay, and the decision went against them, and City can just kill you like that. So I wouldn't take too much from that. And the Brentford one's a worry. At home to Brentford, losing 3-0 is not on. But I think Mitrovic they're going to miss for goals. But they're functioning better than maybe I thought they might. But I thought they would get a better like-for-like replacement, actually. I'm not sure Jimenez will get the goals, to be honest. I thought they'd lose Paulinho. And I like Marco Silva as a manager. I've got them going a little bit lower than I thought, but I don't think they'll be in a relegation scrap, put it that way.
All right, so whereabouts have you got them finishing then, mate?
I've got them in 14th.
Okay, I've got them in, and you had them in 10th. I've got them in 15th when I originally had them in 12th.
Okay, both dropped.
Well, there you go.
I don't think they'll be drawn into a scrap though, do you?
No, I don't think they will. I don't think they will. It's so interesting. There you go. That is part 1 of our league table predictor. We've done the first 10. We've got some big names coming up. Liverpool, Man United, Man City, Spurs, West Ham. Luton. Huge names. Hashtag teams like Luton. And we're gonna complete our league table in the next video. Tom, it's been fun, but for anyone that might miss part 2 of this, I gather there's something that they can click to make sure that they don't miss it.
There's so many people now going, was part 1, but what am I going to do? I've got to sit here till part 2 comes out. What do? Click that bell. There's a little bell thing. If you click that, then it'll go, boom, part 2's out.
Subscribe, ding.
Yeah,
subscribe,
ding. Click subscribe when you're there, because that makes
ding.
It's so easy. Awesome. Just do it, and we really appreciate it.
There's a percentage of people that watch videos that do not subscribe, and it's something like 30% or something ridiculous. So 2/3 of people viewing back on the net haven't subscribed yet. They always come back. Like a moth to the flame.
Yeah.
Come on in. Look, if you've got your subscriptions on YouTube private, it doesn't matter who you're subscribed to. You can have your guilty little pleasure if you want.
You don't want everyone to see this little Bournemouth channel.
Yeah, exactly. You don't want people knowing. Make your subscriptions private, but then subscribe. All right? We'll wait. You can do it. Come on. Thank you. Really appreciate it. Right, yeah, stay tuned for part 2, because I'm really intrigued. And we're going to then compare how mine and Tom's tables look at the end. I, for one, am interested, and so are you. Enjoy the international break. It's loads of fun, isn't it?
Come on, England. Come on, England. We'll be fine. See you later. God, I'm bloody hot.
Yeah, it's baking.
Get the shades on, mate.